ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle, with Gilligan, the skipper too, a millionaire and his wife, the movie star, the professor and Mary Ann, here on Gilligan's Island.
Come on, Skip. We only have to find enough food to ration off for the rest of the week.
You're right, Katie Ann. That way we won't waste all our time on daily chores and meaningless tasks, and just focus on our end goal, which is to get off this island. You know, we're working all day. This is a really small pile for all our efforts.
I think I found the problem.
Hey guys, listen, more food? You really have to stop. I'm so full. I don't need any more food. I really appreciate it, so thank you so much.
Midhat, this wasn't all for you. This wasn't even all for today.
You idiot! That food was supposed to last us all week! All of us!
All week? Are you crazy? Why do you think about all week? Why the heck do you think that far ahead? You just live day by day. You're just like me.
The Bible says, do you not know that those who run a race all run to receive the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Living day by day is no way to obtain the prize, but you have to keep focused on the end goal.
How do I do this?
Come on, Midhat, you can help us find more food so we can focus on getting off the island, our end goal.
Gee guys, listen. I'm really sorry. Ask. I help you look for more food. But you have to tell me more about this planning ahead thing. It sounds so fascinating.
Welcome back to week 3 here in the Amazing Race. If you're just joining us, what we're talking about here is how to be effective and successful in the race of life, the most important race that all of us are running. And what we're looking at is certain habits, okay, or like we talked about before, like seeds that we need to have in our life. And as long as we have these seeds in our life, then we can be successful in the ultimate, in the end. So for those who were here last week, we looked at the most important aspect, the most important habit that we need to start with, which is being proactive. And what we talked about is how we need to take control of our life. And for many of us, our life is spinning out of our control faster than we can keep up with, whether it's business or commitments or at home or at work or spiritual life, all these different things. It goes so fast that sometimes we feel like, well, I did the best I could, but it's out of my control. Last week we said, most important thing is to realize that I am responsible for my behavior. I am responsible. Even though factors may be against me, I have to take control over those factors. One of the things that I said last week is about how our life is in our control. And some people struggled with that. And they said, well, isn't our life in God's control? How can I say that we have control? Well, ultimately, yes, our life is in God's control, but because God loves us and respects us, what He did is He gave us the ability to make decisions and to take control ourselves. Like, for example, let's say I'm a married man, I'm a husband. So by the fact that I'm a husband, and by the fact that I'm married to a wife, means I have no control at home. Okay? It's just by default. However, my wife, because she loves me, and because she respects me, she gives me the ability to make some decisions. Okay? And she says, okay, you can decide this and you can decide this. Ultimately, she's still in control. Okay? And there's no doubt about that. But God is the same way. He says, I'm in control, but kind of because I love you, kind of because I'm testing you, kind of because I respect you, I give you the ability to make decisions. And I give you the ability to take control of your life. So don't let that one trip you up. And our ultimate place that we'd like to get to is that we can get to the point where God says, I give you control, and we say, okay, well actually, I would like to give it back to you. what do you think I should do in this situation? And what do you want me to do? And that's the goal that we want to get to. Now, when it comes to our second habit, what I need everyone to do, our second habit that we're going to look at for today, which is beginning with the end, I need everyone to do a little exercise with me. Okay, you ready? I need everyone to get their creative parts of their brains that they haven't dug in for a while, to get that part ready. Close your eyes. And I want you to picture with me a picture. You're on your way to a funeral. And you're driving towards the funeral place thing. Okay, like the wake thing. And you see, as you're getting out of the car, everyone dressed in black. You hear some whimpering. You see some mourners. You see the flowers. You see all the people gathered to honor this person who has passed away. And you begin to walk inside. And you get up to the front of the casket. And you look inside. And it's your own face that's in there. It's your funeral. You're in the casket. All those people that you see gathered around are here to honor you. And in a minute, you sit down. In a minute, the speeches are going to begin. And there's going to be 4 speeches that are going to be given. And I want you to picture the people. One from your family, your immediate family. One from your office, co-worker, or if you're at school, a colleague at school or something like that. One friend, close friend, and one person from your church. And they're going to get up there, and they're going to make a speech about you. Now open your eyes. What do you want them to say? Take 10 seconds and jot down some of the things, jot down one thing that you want each of those 4 people to say. What you want your family member, whether it's a wife or a husband, a mother or father, a brother or sister, to say. One thing that you want them to say about you. One thing that you want your friend to say about you. This person that you've been friends with for the past 5 years of life. One person who works with you 40 hours a week, goes to class with you. What you want them to say about you. And again, someone that you sit next to in church every single Sunday. You would want them to say that so-and-so, you were a blank co-worker. A really blank son or daughter or wife or husband. That you were the most blank person in the church that they ever met. What would you want them to say? If you did that exercise, then you're going to be good at our topic here for today. Because our topic here for today is called Beginning with the End. Psalm 39, verse 4. King David said, Lord, make me to know my end. What is the measure of my days? Lord, make me to know my end. King David figured out something. That the right way to go through life, the proper frame of reference, or like I talked about a few weeks ago, that fancy word paradigm, okay? The right way that you live your life is not in light of just today, but in light of the ultimate end. And the ideal that we want to get to is that everything that I do today is based on where I want to end up at that point that I had you close your eyes and think about. That everything that I plan for tomorrow is in light of my end, which will someday be down the road. It's shocking and it's sad that we spend so much time preparing for so many things and spend so little time preparing for what we know is inevitable. Right? I was just telling someone who wanted to get married in January. So I told them, you can plan the wedding, but this is the football weekends, and this is the playoffs, and if the Skins are in Miami at Super Bowl, I'm not going to be there, and I'm planning my schedule for January around something which everyone in the world knows is never going to happen in our lifetime. But we make so many plans Then when it comes to the inevitable things in life, somehow we don't plan as much. What we need to get to today, I don't want to talk about death because that's kind of a whatever. Forget about death. I was just doing that for the shock value. What we need to do today is we need to think of the end before the beginning. And we need to set an end goal that we want to get to, a place that we want to get to, and then we need to let that dictate my behavior today, tomorrow, next week, the week after that. It is so easy to go through life from one thing to the next and running around, as the expression goes, like a chicken with its head cut off. And then, you realize what happened. How many people, I read a nice little quote, a nice little picture, work so hard to climb the ladder of success, and then in the end realize that this ladder, which they've been climbing so hard, is leaning on the wrong wall. You know who did that? Solomon, the wise, did that, even in all his wisdom. Solomon, you know, was the richest, most glorious, most famous, most everything. Look what he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I made my works great. I built myself houses, planted myself vineyards. This is the ladder that he's climbing, the same ladder that many of us are chasing, this ladder. I made myself gardens and orchards, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants and had servants born in my house. Not just physical possessions, but I had fame, I had power, I had reputation, I had glory. Yes, I had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. He got more than a whole city. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and special treasures of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers, the delights of the sons of men, and all musical instruments of all kinds. So I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Hey, that's great. You really worked hard. You climbing and you're working and you're achieving and you're success and you're great. Next verse. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had done and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun. What happened to my man Solomon here? What happened? What? Can you hear me? Okay. What happened? What happened to you, Solomon? What Solomon is telling us here is, I worked so hard to achieve this, and then I got it, and I realized I didn't really want it that much. And my fear is that some of us in life, how many of us find ourselves fighting to achieve something, and then in the end, at what expense? You want to be a big man in the office. At what expense? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? You want to be recognition. You want power. At what expense? Our topic for today, beginning with the end in mind, means that we're going to start the journey, the race, by first figuring out where we want to end. Usually, what we do is we begin the race by just running. And we just run first, just like when you're in a hurry to get someplace, is what I do when I'm in a hurry and I want to rush, okay, and I don't want to type it in the GPS, I don't want to sit in the driveway, I just start driving the direction I'm pretty sure it's going to go, and then I'll just set it up on the fly. If I get to a light, you know what I'm saying, or if I can, and that's what many of us do in life. Just run. It's probably this direction. Just run. No. We're going to stop. We're going to ask ourselves where we want to get to. You are going to tell, not me, but tell yourself and write down where it is you want to end in life, and then you are going to begin making day-to-day decisions based on where you said you want to get to by the end. Here's the problem with these ladders in life. If your ladder is on the wrong wall, then every step you take only gets you further and further from where you need to go. And you may try harder and may go faster, and you're only getting more and more away from where you need to get to. Wouldn't it be great if we could know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm on the right wall, and that every step I take, and all throughout my day, everything I do is getting me closer and closer to the goal that I want to get to? In order to understand this concept, two principles, foundational concepts that we need to understand, assumptions, or like ideas we understand, and then we can understand how to make this practical. First thing is the concept or the principle that all things are created twice. And what that means is that everything in my life and in your life first is created mentally, then physically. Take the example of a house. Okay, if you're going to build a house, before you begin picking up nails and hammers, and before you get your bulldozers anywhere, you must first create the house mentally. You have to design it. And you have to know that it's supposed to be this fat, and this tall, and these dimensions. Foundation should go here, and this kind of window. And you need to plan it, every single detail. And the way that you plan it will be based on your, like you. So like if you are cooking is very important to you, okay? So you would design the kitchen different than someone who plans to eat out every night. You would design it differently. And you might design the basement one way if you have kids, doors, garages, whatever. But before you start knocking stuff down, you create it mentally, and then because you don't have the best memory in the world, you write it down. You create a blueprint, some kind of plan, and you put it on paper, and you be very, very certain that you don't start digging until this is correct. Agree? You don't start digging until this is correct, and you check this once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. You're very diligent to make sure this plan and this thing works. Because the worst thing is that you start, and you realize this was not accurate. Then you have to make repairs. That's going to cost you much more than delaying the process and measuring it here. What's the expression? The Home Depot expression? Measure twice, cut once. Right? Measure twice, cut once. Why? Because once this blueprint is in place, if I have a true blueprint right here for my house, then you know what? I don't need to think anymore. I don't need to think. This now becomes the authority. This becomes God. Okay? And no one has to ask me how tall. No, just look at the plan. And when should. No, just look at the plan. The plan has all the details, and I invested a lot in this plan. I was thorough in this plan. I measured. The plan is accurate. Just do what the plan says. This now becomes the authority figure in the process. Wouldn't it be great if life was the same way? Wouldn't it be great? Well, life can be that same way, and that's what we're talking about here. Is coming up with a plan and then allowing the plan to make my decisions for me. Our Lord Jesus Christ said in Luke chapter 14, verse 28, "Which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'" Life is the same way like building that tower, building that house. The problem for many of us is, like I said, we just start picking up hammers and just start, hey, we've seen other people do it, we just start going. What we need to do is take a step back and make sure that our plan is correct. Nothing great was ever built haphazard. You think the Egyptians just showed up, started picking up bricks, and they said, "Oh, we ended up with a pyramid"? You think that's how it happened? You think they just started piling them on there, and we'll figure it out when we get to the top? Or you think they had a plan of how this thing was going to work? How many of us have no plan? We have general plans, be good. Have a good family. Be successful. We have these vague terms that we use, or even worse, we just copy and paste someone else's. We hear someone else saying this is the goal. Oh yeah, of course, everyone knows that's the goal. Yeah. And you have to be there by age 25. Oh yeah, of course, I knew that. Or Oprah tells you this is how you have to raise your kids. And God forbid you don't raise them the way Oprah tells you to raise your kids. And she tells you this is the mark of a good parent. This is the mark of a good wife. This is the mark of a good husband. We are allowing others to create our plan and just marching haphazardly according to their plan. I read a nice quote. It says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. And it's true. We're taking back control. We're taking control of our lives. We're not running around like crazy people. We're going to run this race with certainty, and we're going to run with clarity. That's the first concept. The second concept, those who are in business will understand this, okay? It's a business principle, but it really applies to what I'm talking about too, and let me explain how. And that is that management is not the same as leadership. Business people know this very well. There's a difference between a manager and a leader. And the difference between them, to relate to what I just said, is the difference between first creation and second creation. Okay? Leaders create things mentally, managers create them physically. A management guy, as it says right there, is bottom line focused. He just thinks in terms of how can I best accomplish task A, B, C, and D. A leader guy doesn't think how can I best accomplish this. He thinks in terms of what things should I be trying to accomplish. A manager thinks of doing things right. A leader thinks of doing the right things. You see the difference? One guy is just taking the plan given to him and going with it, and the other guy is thinking through the plan and coming up with the proper plan. Back to my ladder example, the manager guy wants to make sure you climb as fast as you can. The leader guy says, wait a minute, is this the right wall or should it be on that wall? To draw you a picture of how oftentimes we confuse the two in our own lives. Imagine a group of people traveling through the jungle, and the jungle is a jungle. So there's a group in the front with machetes, and they're clearing the path. Okay, clearing the path so that they can get through this jungle. If there's a manager and a leader, the manager is behind them, encouraging them, telling them best techniques to use, giving them the most modern technology so they can get through there. The leader is the guy who gets the binoculars, stands up on a tall tree and says, oh my goodness, we're going the wrong direction. The manager usually then says, be quiet, we're making so much progress, leave us alone. Oftentimes in life, we confuse progress with success or effectiveness. I'll give you a very easy example that every one of us deals with. Let's take email. Let me share you a little bit of the way some of my days go, and maybe you can learn from this example. So I get a lot of emails. And the reason I get a lot of emails is because, for those who know me know, I don't like to talk on the phone, okay? So I figure if I'm prompt in responding to emails, then I can avoid talking to you in person, okay? So it's not that I'm prompt on email because it's just because I just would rather not talk to you face to face, so I just go with email. Here's the thing. You ever show up in front of your computer with so much stuff to do, like a lot of stuff, then you open your email and there's 10,000 emails. So you feel flooded and you feel overwhelmed. So you open your emails, you have 100 in front of you. What do? What do I do? What do? I find the shortest ones, and I respond to those. I find the easiest ones, the ones that just need a yes or no answer, and I respond to those. And I'll read this one. This one's lengthy. Oh, we'll put that over here. And then this one just wants a yes or no. Can I do this? Can I go here? Whatever. Don't. Yes, yes, no, no, no. And then what I'll do is I'll get to hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be, and I'll feel like, I accomplished a lot. Look, I had 100 emails. Now I only have 10 emails. I went from 100 to 10. But here's the thing. Was I effective? Was I successful this day? What if one of those 10 emails, this is where Abuna Pshoy is actually better than me, okay? So don't be upset when he doesn't respond to your emails. He's better than me at this. That he will spend the time responding to the most important ones and letting the other ones maybe slide a little bit. Was I successful just because I knocked out 90% of my inbox? In my mind, yes. I go to sleep feeling good. Look at the inbox. It's all on one screen. Look at it. I was successful today. Before we expend so much energy and time on a task, we need to step back and ask ourselves, is this task the correct task to even be doing? And here's the thing that makes it even more complicated. It becomes difficult here. Is that sometimes a task will be the right thing one day, but it may change over time. Just because something was the right thing yesterday, the day before, doesn't mean it necessarily is going to be tomorrow. You guys remember a few years back, a legend named Joe Gibbs came back to coaching. Okay? His first appearance, what we call Gibbs 1.0, was very successful. Gibbs 2.0, after he retired and came back, And the big knock on him was that he was doing what made him successful from 81 to, say, 93. From 81 to 93, he was very successful. And then he came back in 2004, and he was trying the same things that made him say, it doesn't work that way. Gibbs 2.0 was not nearly as successful as Gibbs 1.0. So if we want to understand this leaders versus managers principle, we need to constantly be evaluating where I want to get to and making sure that my behavior is in line with where I want to get to. I'll give you another example, practical. Imagine a parent who has a child. Imagine a father with a son. The father says that he wants to raise that child to be disciplined, to be godly, be a good young man. Anytime the child begins to misbehave, this is against what the dad wants for the child. He wants him to be like a good boy. So the child misbehaves, and the dad is not happy with this. So what the dad does, in his short-term, very limited thinking, is he puts on the ammunition. He's bigger in size, he's deeper in voice, and he has weapons if need be. And begins to yell at the child, to threaten the child, to maybe even beat the child. This poor dad, who is thinking short-term behavior, not long-term. This poor father may win the battle. The child may put down the Play-Doh or the vase or whatever. But he may ultimately lose the war. Take this father who intimidates his child into submission, who now has a very submissive, very outwardly submissive child, and fast forward now to the funeral of the father, and the son going up to speak some words about the father. And the father in his casket waiting for him to say, he taught me how to be a man, and he guided me, and he gave me all these pleasant experiences from my childhood. And the boy has none of that. What happened? What happened? does your desired end match your current behaviors? That's leadership versus management. Leadership says, what do I want to get to, and then matches this behavior with it. Management says, just solve it as quick, be efficient. Do it faster, and do it quicker, and do more of it. Many of us are doing our lives that way. We know we need to be spiritual. So do this, hurry up. Do it as much as you can, as fast as you can. Just do this. We know we need to spend time at home. So just try to spend more time at home and try to do this and that, but I need to be successful. Just this. And we end up accomplishing nothing in the end. If your desired end and your current behavior are not on the same page, look here. Don't be shocked when you get to the end and you didn't get the results that you wanted. Don't be shocked. To this father, don't be shocked if your kid doesn't have very nice things to say about you at your funeral. Don't be shocked if he doesn't come talk to you down the road when he really needs someone to talk to. Don't be shocked. What we need to do, we're taking control of our lives. We're taking a step back today. We are going to come up with a plan. Where do I want to be? What do I want my end to look like? And then we're going to act in accordance with that. We're going to do your homework assignment for today, which I'm going to tell you how to do it in a second, is going to be to come up with that first creation. Is going to be leadership over your life. To come up with a plan, a blueprint of how this life is. What you need to do is create a mission statement. Now I'm going to let you laugh at me right now. Okay, you're going to laugh at me right now. Because I tell this to people, and they always laugh, but I don't care. I have a mission statement. Me. My entity. Me. I have a mission statement. I thought about sharing it with you guys, but I didn't think you'd appreciate it, so I'm not going to share it with you. And you got to come up with your own, because also I didn't want any copy and pasters around here. You need to come up with a personal mission statement. I came up with a personal mission statement at one point in my life, and trust me, nothing will change your life for the better than doing this exercise. I promise you, from the bottom of my heart. What's a personal mission statement? Every business has a mission statement, and a business that doesn't have a mission statement is probably not going to be successful. If I show up at an office building and I ask them, what are you guys here for? They say, well, we just do stuff. And whoever wants to make soda, make soda. And whoever wants to sell, beans, sell beans. So we just, whatever. It's not going to be a successful business. And many of us in our life, without a central, unifying mission, purpose, why I exist, we're not going to be successful either. Think of your mission statement as the constitution of your life. If you go to court, like a judge these days, a judge's job is not to determine what's right and wrong. A judge has no authority to determine right and wrong. A judge's job is to read the Constitution and do what it says. That's it. Doesn't matter what he or she thinks, sorry. All that matters is the Constitution says this is legal, this is illegal. So my job as a judge, no brains needed. Just figure out what this says and match this to that. I'm telling you, if you can come up with a constitution for your life, life becomes... That's the only thing I can think to describe it. Write that down in a word. That's what life is. Clarity. I know what I'm here for. Now all of a sudden, someone comes and says, I want you to sign up for this. Does this match this? Does this have anything to do with this? If the answer is yes, sign me up. I'm going to be the most committed person to this. If the answer is no, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. Once the Constitution is in place, decisions become easier. How many of us struggle with life decisions? commitment decisions, to commit to this, to commit to that. I'm telling you, once you have the mission in place, this thing keeps, just me. Why don't I just go to this one? Let me give you an example of someone. Can you guys hear me? Let me give you an example of someone who we take as an example this particular weekend, and someone who had a very clear mission statement, even though we don't know what it is. That person is Virgin St. Mary. And you know, yesterday we celebrated her feast, and I spoke about her today in the second liturgy sermon, about how this was a person who we look as an example of everything that we want to accomplish in life. You know how Angel Gabriel came to her, and she said the famous phrase in Luke 1:38, "Behold, the maidservant of the Lord, let it be to me according to your word." When the angel came and said, "I need you to do this," she responded right away, "Sure, no problem, let it be to me according to your word." How could she respond to such a major, a huge request like this? Like, she didn't even say the spiritual answer of, "Let me fast and pray about it." She didn't even say that. How? Because she knew her mission. She was clear, and her mission was simple. Her constitution says, when God asks, I say yes. Because my mission statement, of course I'm inventing this, but go with me. My mission statement is to be pleasing to Him and to fulfill His purpose in my life. So He says this, no problem. All I got to do is ask one question. I got to figure out, are you from God or not from God? That's all I got to figure out. How is this going to happen? Power of the Most High? Okay, no problem. Wouldn't it be great to make decisions like that in life? Wouldn't it be great that you could move quickly on things with confidence, knowing this is what I should do, this is what I should not do? If you want to move with confidence like that, you must start by taking a step back and figuring out your personal mission. A lot of times people ask me, how did you decide to become a priest? How did you make such a decision, especially when you were young? How did you make such this big decision? Especially because the joke I always joke with the Munif Shoy is like, kind of like what I was joking there with St. Mary, is that he came and told me. Yeah, he told me. He never once, I joke with him to this day, he never asked me. Okay, he told me, this and this and this is going to happen. And me, like an idiot, oh, okay, like I didn't even ask, let me pray, like I didn't do any of that stuff, just went with it. People say, how? I always say the same thing. The decision, when I agreed to accept this job as a priest, it took me no time, because that didn't need fasting and prayer. What needed fasting and prayer was a decision, probably a year or 2 or 3 or whatever before that, which was that whatever God asked me to do in life, I was never going to say no. And I remember that decision was a very difficult one. And I remember very, very clearly making that decision. That God, this is what I'd like, and I'd really like this, and man, I'd really, really like this. But you know what? You say the word, and I do what you tell me. And my only requirement was that you speak loudly and clearly, because I'm not very smart. But if you tell me what you want, I'm never going to say no. So, priesthood, sure. Trash man, okay. Drive the van, no problem. Give a sermon, whatever. Whatever you say. The hard decision was back here. But once this decision is in place, things move much more quickly in life. You need a personal mission statement. When someone asks for your time, you check the blueprint. When someone asks for your commitment, you check the blueprint. When relationships, you're not sure, you check the blueprint. And if it fits, you go. If it doesn't, you say no. What is a personal mission statement? First thing, a personal mission statement is not, don't confuse this with like goals. Okay? Goals are important, but this is much bigger than goals. I want to be a dentist. That's a good goal, but that's not your mission in life. It's to be a dentist and you're done. I want to be married. Okay, that's nice, but that's not your mission in life. I want to have kids. I want even spiritual things like I want to read the whole Bible. That's great, but that's not your mission in life. Your mission is much bigger and is much more. It may encompass all these things, but it's much more. Your mission statement is your definition of success. In order to understand the mission statement, or to get to the mission statement, I should say, you start with the picture I drew you at the beginning of you in the casket. You go to those words that you jotted down, that you wanted said about your life. Responsible, loving, caring, pleasant, nice, whatever you wanted said about you. And your mission statement connects today to that. Acts chapter 13, verse 36. I love this verse about King David. It says, "For David, after he had served his own generation by the will of God, fell asleep." What is it that measures the success in your life? That when you fall asleep, that it says you served your own generation by the will of God. You accomplished what you were here to accomplish, and you fell asleep. Like, what more could be said? That's what I want. I want to get to the end of my days. I want to lie down in a casket, and I want one person to give a very short speech. And the speech says, he did what he was supposed to do. Glory be to God forever, amen. There's the speech at my funeral. No more speeches other than that. He did what he was supposed to do, period. End of story. How are we going to figure out what should be in the mission statement? Well, there's two ways that one can come up with a mission statement. There is speculation, and then there is revelation. Speculation is what most of us do. And speculation is what you will always do unless you take time. The difference between the two of these is time. On the metro, on the way to work, speculation. Just discussing it at lunch today after we finish, speculation. If you want to really get to the root, it takes time away, and it takes God to reveal it. I'm not sitting here and telling you, whatever you want to accomplish it. I'm telling you, sit with God. God gave you certain skills, certain talents, certain abilities, because He has a purpose, a mission for your life, different than mine. And God wants you to accomplish something. Don't invent it. Spend more time asking and less time trying to come up with. What I'm asking everyone here to do is to carve out a chunk of time. And I know everyone's busy, and I'm not saying you can do this week, but make a commitment, let's say 3 weeks. Then the next 3 weeks that you either take a half day off of work, you take a Saturday afternoon somewhere, you come to first liturgy on Sunday, then you take the rest of the day, for football season of course, you take some time and you get away with God and you spend time trying to figure this out. Trust me, there will be no more valuable time in life than the time that you spend doing this. It may cost you a half a day, but think about what it could save you in the long run. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. You want my paraphrase on this verse? My paraphrase on this verse is, don't be a fool. Don't be a fool, man. Stop guessing. Take the time, get out of the vehicle, stop the runaround, and take time to ask these important questions in life. The $1 million question, the how question. Give me practical. I'm going to give you one practical tip that's going to make it easy for you. Think in terms of roles. Think in terms of roles, not in terms of tasks. What does that mean? The true measure of success is not accomplishments. Usually we think in terms of accomplishments. I want to accomplish A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Life success is not in accomplishments. It's in relationships. So if you want to make a mission statement for yourself, think in terms of the relationships that are most important to you. Every single one of us wears many hats in life. For example, I'll give you myself as an example. I came up with many roles that I fulfill in life, but the top 5 of them. Okay, that's the keys. You want to come up with the top 5 roles. My number one role in life that I want to be successful in is as a son. Son of who? Of God. That's the most important relationship. And that is a role that I have to play, and I want to be successful. So I'm going to come up with a specific mission to be successful in the role of Son of God on high. Next role, I have a role as a husband. And that to me is more important than anything else other than this. How can I be successful at this role of husband? What's my mission in this role? What's the markers of success as my role as a husband? My role as a father? Me personally, my role as a priest. But even what I did, my job as a priest, 10,000 things. There's an administrative side. How can I be successful at the administrative side? There's a spiritual, like counseling kind of a side, like outreach kind of a side. There's a sermon and teaching and discipleship kind of a side. How can I be successful at this? How can I be successful at this? How can I be successful at this? And there's many, many, many other roles. I just threw a bunch up there. Whatever it is that you are in life, come up with the top 5 most important roles and relationships in life, and come up with a measurable way to measure success in each of these roles. Don't say, I want to be the best husband in the world. I want to be the nicest person in the office. Man, measurable. Give me specific. Give me something that makes sense. Give me something that says, like my Son of God relationship, that says, I want to grow in my knowledge and love for God every single day, and I want to use the gifts that He has given me to serve Him to the fullest of my ability, off the top of my head. And I don't want to tell you the rest of them because I don't want copy and pasting. With every role, you come up with a specific statement. Once you have those statements, the mission is just tying them together. It's just tying these 5 or top 4 or 5 or whatever it may be. But why it's so important to evaluate and identify the roles? Because if you don't, you may be very successful in one. Like imagine that I'm very successful as a husband and my wife, but then I neglected my kids. So I have to make sure I'm balanced. I have to be success there, be success there, be success there, be success there. And I got to keep them in balance, constantly in check. How long will it take you to write your personal mission statement for life? Your whole life. Your mission statement is not something that is written, it is something that is rewritten. And the beginning is the hardest by far to lay the foundation. But once you get the foundation, just like again, like any business, needs evaluation, it needs updating. The seasons of life change, okay? And as the seasons of life change, your roles may change. And what's needed in specific roles, like again, one of my roles is like the headmaster of the school here. So when the school was this many classes, my role, success was this. Now that the school has become like this, my role has changed a little bit. And now the measure of success is this. So that's the way life is. As your kids get older, as your relationships progress, the point is you've got to come up with a way to measure success. Now I can read some of your minds. Some of you are saying, I agree, this is great, I don't have time. You got to make time. Again, this is the whole point of why we're doing this, is we got to take back control. We can't let time control me. I control time, not time controls me. I know you can't do it this week, you're busy this week. But in the next 3 weeks, give me 21 days. You can't come up with a half a day in 21 days, something that's going to affect your whole life. Can't come up with a half day to take away. Man, call in sick to work, okay? Unless you work here at Little Flock Christian School, okay, and you're other places, call in sick one day. Just, man, it's important, okay? But don't tell them I told you to call in sick, okay? Why it's so important. Your mission statement will become the center of your life. I know you guys probably may not be able to see it clearly. In life, there's all kinds of different factors that try to influence my decisions. My work, my spouse, my family, money, etc., etc. And many of us, if you have nothing at the center, then any one of these things can sneak in and cause problems. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working. Let's say you're a husband, you're a married man, you're working. You plan, anniversary, wife, concert, leave work at 4, you told the boss in advance, you got the tickets, you're going to go pick her up, she's going to wear nice, you're going to wear nice, y'all going to do something nice. 3:55, boss comes in. Need you to stay late today. What do? If you're money-centered, if money is your center, you think to yourself, well, if I don't stay late, I could get fired. Oh well, she's just going to have to understand. If I am family-centered, I may say, hey buddy, family first, and I can't stay. If I am pleasure-centered, I may leave the work just because I want to have a good time, and that could be irresponsible. If I am possession-centered, I think to myself, if I stay and work and I get paid overtime, well, I can use that money to buy this, or that. My point is, regardless of the decision that's made at the end, you could stay or you could leave. The decision could be the same, but the process to get there could be wrong. And my concern is the process more than the result. I'm not saying it's wrong to leave. I'm not saying it's wrong to stay. I'm saying what's going to make the decision is what's at the center of your life. And that's why I need my mission statement there. And I refer to that, and that tells me family is important, and I need to be more involved with this in this way. But it also tells me that work, and it balances me to know how to make this decision.